This is KMJ at KMJNow.com or wherever you stream. Welcome to the Marc Kapetan Show. This is attorney Marc Kapetan, your host. Today's show is brought to you by the Kapetan Brothers Law Firm. We've been serving the Central Valley since 1995. If you or anybody you know has been injured in an auto accident, a truck accident, or a motorcycle accident, give us a call at 559-498-8000. Or if you've been arrested or cited for a criminal offense, call us 559-498-8000. Kapetan Brothers, we are the Valley's law firm. Hey, we want to thank a sponsor of the show. Today's sponsor for the show is Arc Mediterranean Grill. Arc Mediterranean Grill. The Akisian brothers. I love those guys, man. They're great. Great food, great Mediterranean food, hummus, shish kebab, lamb, what is it? That is lamb kebab, shish kebab, right, Marcelo? Chicken salads, all that kind of stuff. Arc Mediterranean Grill, 2 locations, one in Fresno, one in Clovis. Go out there and get lunch for the office or dinner for the family. So thanks to Arc Mediterranean Grill. Folks, you're gonna have to. I'm gonna have to apologize for my voice. I just spent the whole weekend at the St. George Greek Food Festival, which was great, right, Marcella?
Yes.
Oh, speak about lamb kebabs and stuff like that. Oh, it's killer. But my voice is shot. But I'm also having a little trouble with today's show because it's about my next guest. It's a guest that was introduced to me by Steve Emler, who's the sound guy, and you've heard his name maybe here on the radio show, the sound guy for Tesla. He introduced me to a friend of his that's on tour with him. I can't tell if this show is going to be about passion or drive or an overabundance of energy, or maybe just a guy with attention deficit disorder. I'm not sure, but we are willing to find out. I called my friend from Tesla who's on tour. They put me on the phone with a singer of their opening act. It's a brief conversation that we had, but it led me to look up the name Stretch, who is the singer of the Stretch band, I guess you would say, Stretch. I read about Stretch, the singer, quote unquote. Then I read about Stretch, the sculpture artist. Then I read about Stretch, the restaurateur from Kansas City, owner of Grinders of Kansas City. In fact, a well-known music venue there. I think they got a bunch of venues too. The more I read about this guy, the deeper the mystery of the guy became. Is he an artist? Is he a musician? A restaurant owner? Or just a guy with a bit of money and a drive living out his dreams? You know, same with me, right? Attorney living out my dreams on a rock and roll stage. He now has an album out, and get this, called Carnivore of Chaos, and it's sort of a take on a similarly named album by his old friends in the band Guar, which I'm sure everybody in KMJ land knows who Guar is. But they were a great, funny band from way back in the day. He sings about meat and sauce and food and pizza. It's a passion or it's a pitch. I can't figure it out. He became Kansas City celebrity, thereafter a national celebrity on various TV shows, which included a couple tours with celebrity chef Guy Fieri. Being the ultimate promoter, he recently took his culinary dreams on a rock and roll tour with members of the band Black Oxygen. It's culinary gangster time. And so here to tell us all about it, I'd like to welcome to the Marc Kapetan Show from Grinders in Kansas City, the owner, artist, musician, businessman, frontman, whatever you want to say, Stretch Ruminer. Welcome, Stretch. Did I say that last name right, buddy?
Yeah, I don't really use it, so you can just skip it. But yeah, it's Raminer.
Did I blow the cover, man?
What's that?
Did I blow the cover?
No, it's all good. I'm not wanted anymore, so it's all good.
Hey, speaking about being international and wanted, I understand, Stretch, you have it internationally trademarked?
It is. That is correct. For about 35 years. Oh. I travel around the globe. I travel around the globe for art. And as that moniker, as that entertainer name, I've done close to 50 television shows that are shown around the world.
35 years. How did you get the name Stretch?
You do one porn and that's it. I had to fluff myself, all sorts of. No, it's a clean show. I know it is, but no, it's one of those names that's had so many variations of over the years, and you just got to Google it. There's nothing perverted or anything. It's cool.
Hey, listen, perverted is fine with me, man. You should have heard the interview with my urologist. There was nothing clean about it. I'll tell you that right now. So don't worry about that. No, don't worry about that.
No, all right. It's an old nickname I got years ago, and it's kind of stuck with me. And, I went with the one name, and it's all in capitals because when we do these art shows, you got to, not only does the artwork have to stand out, so does your name on these cards and posters. So it's kind of an advertising kind of thing that I started with.
Well, all right. So let's start there. The art thing. You were first known as an artist, or did you have Grinders before that? Which is a music venue and a pizza place and food and all that stuff like that. You were an art major in college, and you became an artist that you have large installations around the world, I guess.
Yeah, I'm a sculptor. I was trained in design and sculpture. I went to art school in Kansas City. I came from Philadelphia. Did my master's in Richmond, Virginia, and all through art school, I worked in restaurants so I could make some money. And then I worked at night, in these clubs and rock and roll clubs. So I'd cook in there, and I became like a rock and roll repairman, where everybody on tour, whether it was like Faith No More or Tool or whoever, broke an axle or whatever it was on their vehicle, and I'd go back to my studio. And that's where I met the Guar Boys. We were all in art school together in Richmond, Virginia.
Okay.
Grad school.
So hold on real quick, because there's a cool little thing that you skipped over. You were talking about your early jobs and stuff like that. You worked at the Woolworths. What do they call it? The food, the
little counter, the
little counter, the food counter. Yeah, the kid. I mean, they don't have that kind of stuff anymore.
No, I got busted back there inhaling whipped cream canisters doing whippets.
Oh, you were doing whippets, really?
What you do it back there? I said, nah. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I dropped the first fry basket.
Okay, so you dropped your first fry basket there. I understand you went on to McDonald's, but wait a minute, hold on, because you just mentioned
all this great stuff. You're a lawyer. You got people.
Listen, I tell everybody, it doesn't matter what you did in your past. It matters what you did after you did that thing in your past.
Right.
All right. So was it a issue with the whippets and the partying and this, that, and the other thing? And was there a point to where you said, "Hey, man, I have a restaurant, I'm an artist, I'm making decent money, I got to sort of settle all that kind of stuff down"?
I have never been addicted to anything except for the love of life. And I use every day to the fullest. I think everything in moderation, if you can handle it, is fine.
I think that's great, because in the end of this whole conversation, I sort of wanted to sum it up. But I think you did that, and I couldn't figure it out, because you said I've never been addicted, and I don't want to get into any type of history like that, but I think what you're explaining is sort of what I go through too. I mean, I do law, I do music, I do radio, I do recording bands, I do live, playing, etc. And you sit there and you go, okay, am I a jack of all trades, a master of none type thing, or am I just filling as much of my time in this 30, God bless it, 60 to 80 years that we have on this earth, And I think you just sort of summed that whole thing up. I just love life, and you're doing tons of things, addicted to none of them, just trying to get it all in there.
I've been very fortunate to do what I want to do often. And, it's carpe diem. I mean, seize the day. And one project has led to the next project, which has led to the next project. I didn't set out to open restaurants. I wanted to make art, and by opening a restaurant allowed me to keep making art. And then my friends were musicians, so I opened a music venue. And then somehow I ended up back in the music realm. It all kind of circulates. And for me, art, food, music cross all cultural boundaries, no matter where you are in the world. They have art, food, and music. And it's a conversation that happens.
Yeah, well, you've taken the art, food, and music to an extreme, and we're going to get into all of that right after this. We are on with Stretch from Grinders, and from Stretch with Black Oxygen, and Stretch the artist, and Stretch whatever. We're going to get through all of that with Stretch from Kansas City on the Marc Kapetan Show. This is KMJ. We'll be right back after this. This is KMJ at KMJNow.com or wherever you stream. Welcome back to the Marc Kapetan Show. If you've been injured in an auto accident, a truck accident, or a motorcycle accident, contact the Kapetan brothers at 559-498-8000. And if you need a great meal, great Mediterranean food, we want to thank our sponsors, the Arc Mediterranean Grill. Arc Mediterranean Grill out there in Champlain and Perrin, and location out there in Clovis also. Great Mediterranean food and great sponsors of the Marc Kapetan Show. Thanks to them. We are back on with Stretch from Grinders. Okay, how do you announce yourself? You are from Kansas City. You are a now international celebrity, although you were originally just a Kansas City celebrity, hailing all the way from New Jersey, I understand. How do you introduce yourself? I am Stretch from...
I don't really ever sound. Yeah, I'm Stretch from Kansas City. You know, I rarely say Philly anymore, or Jersey, East Coast. Yeah. I'm all over the place. You know?
Kansas City Stretch.
It's just Stretch.
Sound like a pool player. Kansas City Stretch. I like that.
Yeah.
All right. We were talking about, we're going to get into Grinders and the music and you playing with my buddies in Tesla and all that kind of stuff and opening shows for a bunch of rock and roll bands. But you originally started out as an artist, and it's interesting to me because I don't know if you could see the book that I have over here. It's from my art buddy, I call him world famous artist. He truly is, Frank Arnold. In fact, you know what? Remind me, Marcelo, we're going to send Stretch a book. And just the thinking that you have, but also the mix of left and right brain. You're an artist, but you're also a businessman, and I think it's just wonderful. When you did the art, it sort of develops the passion to do everything. You did installations in how many different cities?
Oh, I've probably 50 cities around the world, 50 cities in the States. You know?
Okay.
We kind of littered the U.S. with sculptures for a while there.
And you say litter because it is found object art, I guess is what you would consider it. It's industrial found objects, huge I-beams, huge pieces of metal, etc., right?
Well, you know, in my work, I don't use a lot of found objects. I use a lot of recycled material, steel beams and things like that. But most of the shapes and parts I manufacture myself. I mean, my studio is 30,000 square feet. So it's monster size with all the equipment I need. I mean, I still build sculpture or build something every day.
Yeah. By the way, Dave Root from Tesla, who was one of the guys that introduced me to you, said, number one, Stretch is the sweetest guy ever. But also, he says, you got to go to his warehouse. It's just huge, and it's just really impressive. These are huge. Like how big, how much do these things weigh that you install?
Sculpture steel weighs 40 pounds a square foot if it's 1 inch thick. And I have pieces that are 24, 30, 40 foot tall.
Oh,
when we talk tonnage, because it weighs a ton, it really weighs a ton in my world.
Tons, not just a ton, tons, right?
2,000 pounds is a ton, and it just keeps on going from there.
Are they built partially on site, or do you have them fully built and delivered like that?
The majority of the pieces are installed, so they're assembled on location. The parts are so large, some of them have to get put together when you get to location. So you need forklifts and cranes on one end and forklift and cranes on the other.
What would be one of the most what would be a famous, or most recognized, or where can we go to see one of these things? What's your maybe proudest sculpture?
Oh, Kansas City has a bunch of them right now. They have some 30-footers around town. There's a big one in Des Moines, Fort Des Moines up that way, across the street from Fort Des Moines in downtown Des Moines. It's a 2-story piece, but it takes up a lot of space, but it's not steel. It's actually all glass. And about 80% of my work has glass and steel.
A dangerous
dialogue that happens between the material, the soft, the fragile, and the industrial.
In fact, you have a quote, basically, it's your duty to build ideas which inspire thought, communication through visuals, basically. You build these things, they're impressive, number one, because of their size, but it also has to have an element of danger, also an element maybe of mathematics and things to get the balance right.
Yeah, and I've never had, not really an engineer, so it's kind of like overbuild, overkill, and make it stand up.
And that's part of the question is, where did you develop these skills? Were you a welder by trade? I mean, were you a heavy equipment operator? I mean, how did you get that? You were a cook at Woolworths, for God's sakes, and an art major. Art majors usually aren't, guys, doing all this heavy machinery stuff.
No, man, I learned how to weld in art school. It was out of necessity. And I've just always been that kid that like built tree forts and stuff like that and just learned how to put things together. And if it doesn't work, you make it stronger or bigger or wider or fatter.
Dude, I am so embarrassed right now because I have the one thing that I built in welding school, man. And it is, you know, when you're in it was 7th grade, I think we had welding class, which I don't even know if they would do these days because it's so dangerous. But you know how you make a scroll out of a little piece of metal? Okay. Yeah. I put 3 of them together, and then I had a little stick out of it, out of metal, and it was a ring holder for my mom, and she kept it forever. I have it in my house right now. It's the only thing that I ever built, and you're building these huge sculptures, so you must have that. You not only have the white-collar business side, but you also have the blue-collar welding side. Good for you, man.
I'm fabricating in the studio. My wife's a florist, and she's got a monster wedding. We're building 3 8-foot tall, 8-foot diameter chandeliers that hang from this giant tent for this wedding that will all be completely covered in flowers.
Oh my
So
God.
That's what I'm fabricating in the studio today. So I get to build a lot of cool stuff. I don't deal with galleries anymore unless I absolutely have to. I just get to build stuff for the restaurants, for the music venue, my stuff, and cool stuff like that.
That's your wife, Rebecca, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you got 2 kids with Rebecca out there. How old are the kids?
I refer to them as the mugwumps, and they are 11.
The mugwumps?
Yeah, the mugwumps, a boy and a girl.
Good for you. They're both 11? Twins?
Yeah.
Wow. That's cute. Very nice.
And no, they're not identical. One's a boy and one's a girl.
Well, believe me, I don't care if they're identical or not. Hopefully none of them look like you. But
one looks like a mailman on the other block. I don't know. It's good for my wife.
But speaking of your looks, and you're a very handsome man, believe me. But I love you. Have the exact same hair. Wait till I send you this book of my buddy Frank Arnold, man. You have the exact same hair. And I was like, oh, it must be an artist thing, for God's sakes.
Not much left up there, but they party.
All right, speaking about partying, you do the art thing. You eventually say, I'm going to now move from art over to owning a rock and roll club. Was music always in your life? Was that a big thing for you?
You know, I didn't grow up with a lot of music, but I didn't hit, when I started getting into music was high school and then in art school, I really got turned on to a lot of stuff. Outside of the Van Halens and the 80s bands, I started getting turned on to the Frank Zappas and the reggaes and the blues and jazz and all sorts of other stuff like that. So that was really a great part of my life in art school. But I didn't get a lot of it growing up. And it wasn't until grad school, like I said, that I really started a lot of the music. I got a lot of beeping going on. Sorry about that.
That's okay. By the way, he's doing this interview from his car because his kids are playing soccer in Kansas City right now, and he's outside of the soccer field, right?
Yeah, we're sitting outside, and my wife, like I said, I got this giant wedding, so I had to drop the kids off, and they're playing soccer, and I'm in my car. So I've done numerous interviews in my car, voiceovers I've done in the car. It's a sound chamber.
Yeah, it's a great sound.
People walk by and they knock on the glass. Hey, you talking to? That kind of.
That's too funny. I'm just talking to myself. I'm an artist. I'm a crazy guy. All right, so you eventually wanted.
The art was going first, and then the music was kind of. They work together, and my friends were in bands and I worked with them, but I kind of always avoided it because that was their thing. And I haven't stopped doing any of the other stuff. I still do it all.
Yeah.
And
you say music wasn't a big part of it. Was it a mom and dad thing where they just weren't artistically inclined, maybe like you were? Were you the odd sheep as far as that was concerned?
I was totally the black sheep. Yeah.
Well, I said the odd sheep, so you were the black sheep, really? Are brothers and sisters all like, lawyers and doctors and all that kind of stuff?
My brother's 4 years younger. My brother just showed up here. It was the first time he's ever come to my restaurant or my studios. And he's 4 years younger than me. Out of my entire career, I said I'm having my 20th. He finally showed up. My sister's a couple of years older. She sells insurance and she's a professional skydiver. So I'm kind of the normal one now.
Skydiving at whatever age sis is at. Good for her, man. That's awesome. Yeah. All right, we're going to be right back with Stretch from Kansas City. Stretch the artist, Stretch the businessman, Stretch the musician. We're going to talk music and food, which in his case is the same thing. So we'll be right back after this. This is the Marc Kapetan Show on KMJ. Welcome back to the Marc Kapetan Show. You are listening to Carnivore of Chaos.
Shut the front door, I'm on my way. And I'm racing to a perfect place to get a taste.
This is Flavortown, the song from Carnivore of Chaos by Stretch, the musician, also known as Stretch the artist and Stretch the owner of Grinders in Kansas City. He's on the air with us today on the Marc Kapetan Show. Thanks for coming back on the show. Ready to take a dive. When you arrive. Ready, folks?
Give me something you can't put down. Hit me helping of the best around.
Flavortown. Flavora. Town. Something like that. I don't know. I'll tell you what. I love it. I thought it was great, but every single song is about food.
There's a lot about food. And by the way, my kids, the Mugwumps, are singing chorus on that song.
I had a note about that. Are the kids your kids? Yeah.
Yeah, they're my kids. They might not think I'm their dad, but I am.
They don't tell it. They don't tell people that in school. All right. Is this? I'm gonna be as delicate as possible because I love the music. It's got like who am I thinking of that did you pattern it after anybody, by the way?
You know, all my favorites from the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
It's got a little vibe of everything from, of course, the Teslas to the Motley Crue to the ZZ Tops to the Van Halens to, everybody.
Yeah. It's a bowling. I'm thinking Bowling Soup. I'm thinking Bowling for Soup a little bit. Yeah, no Weird Al, but it's Bowling for Soup. So it's serious songs. You think you're singing about the girl in high school that you love and stuff like that, but it's a lot about food. You got that one. You got First Bite, which we'll play next. You have something about barbecue sauce. I mean, it just goes on and on and on for what I remember. Is it Stretch, the pitch man, the promoter? Was it initially based on this great restaurant that you have called Grinders in Kansas City and doing a commercial or a promotion for the restaurant?
It started out, this band Black Oxygen, good buddies, David Lyle and his brother, and they came to me and said, Stretch, there's no good barbecue in LA. Can you help us with that? We want a barbecue sauce. So Nick is a really talented guy with his taste buds as well. So we came up with a barbecue sauce called Bangin' Barbecue.
Right.
And I came back about a year later. I said, I did a barbecue sauce with you guys, and I've got this idea. Adam Sandler made a whole bunch of money doing songs about dreidel spinning and Hanukkah. I should do a song about barbecue. And they're like, done. So they get a hold of their old buddy, Brett Hessler, down outside Nashville.
The guy from Atlantic Records, right?
Initially. Yeah. And so we went down there and recorded a song. Took us 3 days to do a song called First Bite. And it's all about barbecue and fun and family. And it did real well on the secondary market. And their old record label, Curtain Call, got a hold of me and said, Stretch, this is really cool. No one's in this lane, if you will, doing this genre. Everyone's singing about their ex-girlfriends or their dogs or their, religion or whatever the hell it is. And he said, you think you can do a whole album? I was like, yeah, sure. Why not? So,
yeah, you developed a lane basically. And by the way, I want you to go back to Nick and tell him to watch the show because I've been waiting to say this. So I'm watching an interview with him and he says, yeah, and he's being real serious. He goes, I had this dream about barbecue sauce and stuff like that. And I said, wait a minute. Martin Luther King had a dream about equality of man. And this guy has a dream about barbecue sauce. I'm like, well, come on, man.
Well, dreams are dreams, right? Anyway, it came true for him. So we did that barbecue stuff.
All right.
But no, so even the new album I'm doing with Brett, with Brian Wheats recording the new album for me. And a lot of songs on that. Not everyone out of the new 8 are all about food, but a lot of them are. The Taste of Love, Bubble Gut, Double Stuff, Loaded. one's called Bar Fight, but I mean, so that it's my world.
Well, I'll tell you,
about art and food.
I'll tell you, I've been around the world with Brian, literally around the world with Brian Wheat, and that's the one thing we do. We find the greatest restaurant and we just sample and we love it. I mean, he's a foodie too, so a perfect guy. I didn't even know you were recording an album with him. Perfect guy to record an album with.
Yeah, that's how the whole relationship started. I was on tour with Skid Row and Buck Cherry. And somebody down in, I was playing a Hard Rock outside of, or House of Blues in San Diego. And they said, you mind if I send your music to someone? I'm like, sure, who? They said, Tesla. I was like, what does Elon Musk want with my music?
I know, I love it.
And they said, they're still alive? Those guys are rocking. I'm just teasing. No, they've been fantastic. And Brian reached out, and I love them. And we just have such a great, fun time, and they're all super genuine. Jeff and Frank and, everybody.
Yeah,
Dave.
Absolutely.
And then meeting guys like Steve, who helped hook this whole thing up.
The drummer, yeah. Oh, Steve Emler, yeah.
Yeah. They, I was in school, junior high and high school, and they were rocking it out.
Yeah.
And they're still going. I mean, I love that about those guys. They're passionate.
Well, I look back on it and I remember the day that Steve Emler goes, because folks, he's the sound guy for Tesla, and he was also their road manager for many years too. And we had a sound company together, and we went to go do the first show that we did with this band that was former members of Tesla, and we sat in a car in a parking lot somewhere up in Auburn, California, I think it was. And I said, I'm going to go in and buy as many Tesla CDs, because he had no idea what the music was and all that kind of stuff. And I remember, and I look back on it, and that's close to 30 years ago now.
Wow.
And they're still going strong, man. Even better than ever, I think, if you ask me. So good for you. So you're now on. You do tours with them, and how many dates will you do in a row and get away from the family and all that stuff?
I try to stay away from my family as often as possible.
And they're just as happy about it.
Oh yeah. Now we did 4 shows with Tesla. We'll probably do more next year with them. We had a bunch of other stuff on the schedule for my own touring and stuff, so it was great. But I love going out with those guys, and they're fans. I don't know if it's the perfect mix between my music and their music.
Who cares?
But everybody sings along, and it's fun sing along music. It's not rah, 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 in your face, heavy metal or rock, stuff like that.
Yeah,
and
that's what I said. I've been singing it all weekend long. I've been singing Flavortown all weekend long. It's stuck in my head. It's great music like that. Black Oxygen did a great job with doing that with you. You've also been on actual food tours. So you have this life. So we've talked about the artist life. We talked about the musician life, but I think maybe your most well-known thing now is you've been on tons of Food Network and TV shows with Guy Fieri, other celebrity chefs. You've been around, I think you've done 2, is it national or international tours with Guy Fieri on, what do they call it? Foodapalooza?
So, yeah, 2009, we did our first Foodapalooza tour with Guy. And then 2011, we did another one. Then I've done numerous food and wine festivals with him. And then we started something in 2010 called the Mess Lords, which is celebrity chefs. We have about 15 chefs on our roster now. We donate our time and travel around the world cooking for the troops and their families. So we've served close to 500,000 meals at this point, all over the world. Was Bahrain, Djibouti, Singapore, Korea, Japan, Egypt, Greece, talking about great Greek food, all over Europe, Germany, Spain.
So I mean, I didn't know it was that many countries. So you've been doing this for quite a long time now.
Yes, I have.
I love asking this question to travelers and foodies. All right, give me okay, ready? Here it is. I'm in Aschaffenburg, Germany. I'm actually with Dave Rude, Steve Emler, and Brian Wheat, I think, was along with us. Aschaffenburg, Germany, at the Zoomfigure restaurant, I had the wild boar and the venison. And it's partially about the food, and it's partially about the company. Give me one of those for you.
In reference to Germany, one of the first times I've had meat cooked on a hot rock was in Germany. And I think food is definitely part of it. You eat with your eyes first, of course, but the people you're with. I've been, whether it's been in Africa, having, goats slaughtered in the headlights of a pickup truck, or
no. Explain that though. Hold on. You had slaughtered goat with a Maasai tribe in Africa. You've also had, you also have shaved pigs. I don't know what this means. You shaved pigs in the Caucasus Mountain region with the Republic of Georgia, and I'm Greek. And if you're shaving pigs, I don't know. There may be a different reason in Georgia, but.
So yeah, the Republic of Georgia, way up in the Cascades Mountain, the highest occupied village of Europe. I did a month and a half residency for sculpture, and the U.S. Embassy sent me over there, and they really didn't have much, food really, or anything really up there, but they eat and they have pigs, and the eldest of the village slices the throat of the pig, and then the father and the son go out there and shave it. And then I kind of taught them how they don't really have a lot of wood because the elevation is so high. So they just boil everything when they do anything. So I had to teach them how to smoke. I smoked pig and wild hog in Africa and Kenya. I've cooked barbecue in the streets of Naples, Italy.
So did you get professional training as a chef early on, or what?
No, my culinary expertise is as a knuckle dragger. As an artist living in my studios, we weren't allowed to live in a lot of them, so we couldn't even have kitchens, or we got kicked out. So cooking hamburgers on irons and soup and coffee makers, and having a grill, just makeshift grills out of refrigerator gratings and shopping carts.
Didn't you cook hot dogs on a nail also? Wasn't that one of your little things?
Hot dogs, nails, yeah. It becomes a resistor. You just got to put it in there. And
I know exactly what you're talking about. It's being a college student. We are way over time. We are on with Stretch from Kansas City. We'll be right back after this on the Marc Kapetan Show. This is KMJ. This is the Marc Kapetan Show on KMJ. We are listening to Stretch and First Bite from his new album, Carnivore of Chaos.
We were the meat, stacked the space and got the coal. 275, we're hot and here we
Yeah.
I pour a drink and the smoke starts to roll. You gotta feel this barbecue out in your soul.
All right, so that's Stretch from Carnivore of Chaos, his new album that's out. Or what did you do that last year? Was it Stretch?
it came out in March 23.
I see. I got excited because I hit the post.
You nailed it.
I nailed it. I'm a radio guy now. This is Stretch from Kansas City. He has a place called Grinders, which is it was originally a pizza place. Now you got all sorts of food. I looked at the menu. It's just crazy what you got on that thing.
It's always been Americana food. It's always been never just a pizza place. It's got New York style pizza though, Philly cheesesteak, soup salad deli, and of course great barbecue.
Four locations in Kansas City alone, or just elsewhere? We
have 2 left. We lost 2 in COVID, and 1 food truck and 1 at the baseball stadium. So 1 on the Kansas side, 1 on the Missouri side.
So you lost lost a couple during COVID.
Yeah.
God, you could hold how many people at a concert?
We can do 3,000 people at downtown location outside.
Like, what are some of the big acts you have coming up or in the past there?
We've had everybody from Elvis Costello to Ted Nugent to Blondie to the Floozies are coming. Buddy Guy's been there. Ziggy Marley. We used to do about 40 shows a year. Now we're down to about 15 shows a year.
Wow. Elvis Costello. I'd love to see him.
Great show. Great guy.
Yeah. All right. What's better? So, hey, Guy Fieri. Listen, that guy's like a cheeseburger away from a stroke or something. I mean, is that regular eating for that guy, or is this just all part of the show?
Well, Guy Fieri, by the way, is how you actually pronounce his name.
Excuse me.
It's the best shape he's ever been in. I mean, he can touch his toes now. It's incredible. No, he does, when we were on tour, he learned how to tour. No one had ever toured before except for me, but he's learned how to do it. And on the show, he does eat. He does it. If he likes it, he takes a second and third bite. He shoots 3 shows a day now. He's a machine. He's one of the hardest working guys I know. And I mean, he watches his diet. He really does. He pays attention.
It's between the rock and roll tours that you've done and the food tours. Is it a similar thing? Or are we talking tour buses and night after night, different places? How does that work?
Yeah, just like it. You're on the tour bus. There's a whole nother tour bus with all the roadies and a tractor trailer full of all the gear. And you roll into a town. We eat. We make appearances and book signing. And then we're on stage and shake babies, kiss hands, pack it up, and roll to the next city.
What's funner, the food tours or the rock and roll tours? I'm assuming he seems like he's a blast, the guy. Is he a decent guy to hang out with and tour or on a tour bus? Or is he the one where you're like, you stay in your bunk, I'll stay in my bunk?
Guy is awesome. And I've been so fortunate to call him a friend and go to his house every year for his birthday. Traveling with him as a food tour, you eat really well. And as a touring musician, you're living on pizza and crap at gas stations. As a food guy, as a restaurant guy, that's also one thing I bring to the tour. I mean, I cook for the Tesla guys around. I cook for Skid Row Buck Cherries. But all my friends that have restaurants come out and cater the food. Yeah. So my band eats really well. And when you're with Guy Fieri and that kind of crew, you're eating really well.
I'll tell you, we played Vegas House of Blues one time with Tesla, and I ran out to the front of the house. I go, you got to come back here and check out the food, man. They have ribs, and they had all this beautiful food that you never saw. And now the tours, compared to when we first started, they have these catering companies that come out with beautiful tents and carpets on the grass and everything, and the food has gotten way better than it ever was back in the day. So I get it. Kansas City.
They should treat the artists that way, no doubt.
They should treat artists that way. Yeah, you're right. They're entertaining us, and keep them healthy, keep them fed. Speaking about treating people right and stuff like that, Kansas City gave you a Urban Hero Award for your work with artists, with art and music, and providing that type of culture to the people of the city.
Yeah, we got that a bunch of years ago. We took a blighted section of town. We call it the Crossroads, and I'm on the east side. So there's always the homeless, then the artists, then the developers come in behind. So I was fortunate to get in early. We cultivated a way of life and support free thought, free speech, and individuality. And I think it's really important with what's going on in the world right now as well.
Yeah. Let me ask you, out of all those things, I know you talked about how you just want to do whatever you can in life and have as much fun, etc. But you do seem to have a down-to-earth side to you and a part of you that is passionate. The original passion of art, is that what you truly are as far as that's concerned? I told you at the end of this I was going to try to figure out who Stretch really is.
I feel as though I'm an expressionist. If it interests me, I follow it. Hey, squirrel, I don't know, I'm still finding myself, I guess,
And it's funny because that's what my secretaries would say to me too, is especially this one old secretary, Myra, she would always go, squirrel, because I would just be on to the next thing. I get what you mean.
I don't have, the only goal I've really ever had is I had to hit all 50 states before I turned 50. I rode my motorcycle from Kansas City to Alaska.
I'll tell you what, same goal for me. So if you need a partner in some of those states, I got about 30 something of them. So if you want to hit some states together, I'm down with it. Yeah.
I'll bring you out.
That's awesome. This has been Stretch the artist, Stretch the musician, Stretch the restaurateur, from Grinders in Kansas City and from Stretch the band. Go out and get the album Carnivore of Chaos. Go get the bangin' barbecue sauce. If you're in Kansas City, go eat at Grinders and go check out some of his sculptures around the world. Stretch, I appreciate it. Thanks, man. Thanks for being on the Marc Kapetan Show.
Thank you. Thank you all, fans.
We'll see you next week on the Marc Kapetan Show. Thank you to my wonderful producer, Marcellus Solorio Taylor. This is KMJ. I'll see you next week.